everybody, welcome back to Crochet Through Corona. I'd like to say that we're through it all now, but maybe we're not quite, with all the strange changes that are still going on. So I hope you're keeping safe and well, and hopefully crocheting your way through it and keeping some sanity with that. I hope you found the crocheting a bit therapeutic during this odd time. It's really nice to be back today. Sorry it's been so long. Life has been a little bit crazy in the Williams household, but today I'm back with you for this lovely lace scarf. The pattern is by Krista Co Designs and it's the Retta Crochet Infinity Cowl. And what's really nice about this scarf is that it's so customizable to whatever yarn you've got kicking around. So all you need to do is check what hook size you're using. So the best thing to do is to look at the yarn that you've got, and then on the label it usually has a range of hook sizes that it advises for that yarn. I'd suggest going towards the upper end of that range because you want it to be nice and light and loose, otherwise it will kind of all crumple up a bit. So to get that nice light lacy feel, you go towards the upper end. So for example, today I'm actually going to be using the New Wave yarn by Wool and the Gang, and so I'm going to use an 8mm hook. This was a DK yarn, the hook's Eucalypts, and it's got such a lovely soft feel, and I used the 4.5mm for this one. I was going to make another one of these today, but my son has decided that playing with my hooks is really good fun and has managed to misplace one for the time being. So instead I'm going to be using the New Wave yarn. The pattern actually calls for a worsted weight yarn, so it's completely up to you what you want to do. You might want to adjust the width of the pattern if you're using a lighter weight yarn like I did here. So I use the DK and it calls for a starting chain of 20, but it also handily gives you a really nice way of calculating how to extend it. So if you want to make your cowl a bit wider, so you've gone for a lighter weight yarn like I have, I actually made my starting chain longer to get this width. And it's basically, you need a multiple of 3 and then you need to add 5. So the pattern calls for a chain of 20, so that's 20 minus 15 is 20 minus 5 is 15. Divide that by 3 and that is divisible by 3. So if you want to go up one, you might want to go to 26, because 26 minus 5 is 21, which is also divisible by 3. I hope that's making some sense to you. So just make sure your starting chain is a multiple of 3 plus 5. And then you can make your cowl as long as you want, whatever suits you. So for this one here, I use the hooked Eucalypts. As I said, I used the whole skin of that, which was 100g skin. It's actually a little bit too long, so I think next time I'll make mine shorter. So it's completely up to you. And then you can either leave it as a scarf or sew it together at the end, which I will show in the next video, to make it into a cowl. So as I say, very customizable to whatever you are fancying at the minute. So here's my New Wave yarn and we're just going to cast on. I'm a bit out of practice with this whole video lark, and I'm in a race against my storage on my phone, which is never a fun game. Okay, so we're going to chain on 20, so you chain on however many you fancy. I'm going to start with the 20 recommended because this is quite a thick yarn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And I'd say for this pattern you want to keep a fairly loose tension. 17, 18, 19, 20. Excellent. And then we are going to start in the 8th chain from the hook. So we've got, this is the first one, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and into that we're going to do a double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that chain, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through another 2 loops, and then we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and we're going to skip 2 chains. So 1, 2 chains going to be skipped, and we're going to work into that 3rd chain along, and we're going to do a double crochet in. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and I'm keeping it quite nice and loose. And then we repeat, we chain 2 and we skip the bottom 2 chains, and then we go into the 3rd chain along and we do a double crochet into that, and then you've guessed it, we chain 2 and do a double crochet, skipping the next 2 chains, so we're into that 3rd chain along. There we go. Have I counted that right there? I just got a bit. 1, 2, 3, yep. And then chain 2 and a double crochet. For me it's into the last stitch there. If you've chained 20, this should be your last one. If you've done another multiple, you just keep going, following the same pattern all the way to the end. Now we're going to flip the work toward underneath, and here is where we're going to learn something a little bit different. So in some patterns you can just chain 3 and it will count as the first double crochet. I think that can leave it looking quite gappy and a bit odd, and in the pattern it also calls for you to do something a little bit different, so you can do whatever you find best. Sometimes I chain 2 that don't count as the double crochet and then do a double crochet into that stitch. I'm going to show you a different way today, where you go into that bottom stitch there, so the chain that you've just come out of, the stitch you've just come out of, and you pull your yarn through and you effectively do a single crochet. Then we're going to go into this piece here and pull the yarn through, and then yarn over and pull through 2, and that is now acting like your first double crochet. That is going to be the most tricky thing of this whole pattern, because after that we chain 2, then we yarn over and double crochet into the top, so count 2 along the top of the double crochet below. So you're effectively just doing the same thing, skipping 2 and double crocheting, chain 2 and double crochet into the top of the next double crochet. Can you see it there? That's where we're going. Chain 2, yarn over, double crochet into the top of that double crochet of the row below, chain 2, and then final chain 2, and make sure you count 2 along. 1, let's see, mine's pulled a bit tight there, 1, 2, and then you're going into the 3rd one along for this last stitch. So that again, this is going to be the most tricky turn because you're working off your foundation chain still here. On the next row it'll be very distinguished where you're going to go. So then you've made that bottom corner by going into that 3rd chain along, and after that it'll be pretty much plain sailing. So you turn, and if you aren't enjoying that pattern that I just showed you to act as the chain 3, you can just chain 5 each time, which will act as the double crochet and the chain 2 along. So if you'd rather do that, just chain 5, then you can do that each time. You will just need to remember when you come to the corner to work out which stitch you're going in. So you need to make sure you skip 2 stitches and go into the 3rd stitch. But I'm going to go for this turning chain again. When I say turning chain, chain 3, alternative to the chain 3, and then I'm going into this bit of the stitch here, and then yarn over and go through. I'm just going to show you going back along one more time to show you where you go in when you come back to that stitch. And after that you are just repeating this pattern the whole way along. So it's chain 2 and double crochet into the top of the double crochet below. And if you're unsure which bit of the post you're going into, you can always just count the chains back, 1, 2, and then it's into that bit there, because it's the same pattern all the way along. Skip 2, double crochet. If you keep it nice and loose, not only does it give it a nice drape, but it makes it really easy to find where you're going. And then when you come to this last one here, you'll be going into this big post just there. So 1, 2, and if it's quite clear on yours, hopefully you're going in, missing that, and then you go into the top of that alternate chain 3 space there.